How can we create a powerful building where the individual can create a bond? This result can be a combination of several architectonical elements, but certainly there is one that can encompass this task more completely. In this video, we will see what is the phenomenology and what is its importance for architecture and how it changed it. And to understand it better, we will analyze this style with a representative building. Saying that, what is phenomenological architecture? Phenomenology comes from the Greek phenomenon, which means what it is shown, and logia, which means a study. This study has different branches, but we will focus in how it is related with architecture. Phenomenology reached architecture in the 1950s, especially with the presence of the now representative architects such as Peter Zumthor and Steve Hall. This style tries to produce a reaction in the user since it emphasizes in provoke strong sensorial impressions to produce emotions. Its essence is to show an intentional result of subjective acts. It is presented more like an attitude than its style. In order to understand this movement better, we will use as an example the Church of the Light. This is a rectangular volume made of concrete which pretends to replace the old Catholic Church. This building is designed by Tadao Ando in the year of 1989, and it is located in Ibaraki, Osaka, Japan. It is around 100 square meters. Tadao Ando's work is also known for mixing the modern movement with the traditional Japanese architecture, being exactly this combination what makes its works as a sensible architecture. First of all, let's begin with one of the most important characteristics of phenomenological architecture, which is the sensorial experience. Merleau-Ponty, who is an important figure in the phenomenological philosophy, started to include other senses besides the sight. He states, "The eye is the organ of distance and separation, while the touch is the closeness, intimacy, and affection." This gives a more interesting touch to architecture since it allows a different language while objectifying the senses. In the case of the Church of the Light, we can see how the architect applies sensorial experiences. First of all, Tadao Ando's buildings are recognized because they incorporate natural elements, as shown on this building. The church is in part recognized because of the beautiful use of the light. This element has a direct interaction with the user since the incoming light is defined by groups that delineate the symbolic Catholic Church, which clearly gives a high significance of greatness and majesty to the enclosure. The defined lights and the cross are perfectly designed so the dark concrete volume can be highly illuminated so the space can be shown. This light is transformed into a simple but protagonic ornament which defines and characterizes the architectural work. Also, since it is a place of prayer, Church of Light tries to generate a space of introspection and serenity for the user. To make this possible, the church design is maintained clean, simple, and destitute for ornaments. It delimits its space by 6 concrete walls, which try to break the inside from the outside. This, since it wants to separate the chaotic part from the calm one. However, it is not completely isolated, because, as already mentioned, the site presents natural elements that decorate and in turn give a symbolic meaning to the enclosure, giving the user more tools that can help to focus on its self-introspection moment. Now, another important characteristic for the phenomenological architecture is the context retrieval. Phenomenology completes modern movement since it has an essential structure which can be the base of all culture. However, something in which it opposes to modernism is that the last one did not include contextualization, which is important since, as Peter Zumthor said, the atmosphere allows certain spacers with similar or even identical functions to have very different characteristics according to the cultural and environmental conditions of the space in which they exist. Saying that, this characteristic is seen in the Análisis building since the architect reflected in the church which is located in Osaka, Japan, part of the traditional Japanese culture. This, even so, is characteristic of Tadao Ando, since even himself comes from such nation, so he is strongly influenced by it. In this case, Japanese culture can be appreciated, first of all, by being a reflective building. This implies that the space must be according to the local architecture, without any ornament, dark, and using elements of nature. As we already analyzed, these characteristics are beautifully present in the Church of the Light. Also, in the church, we can see that the interior is well connected with the exterior. Even so, it is a priority to separate these two dualities. The way to connect them is letting natural elements be part of the inside. However, it can be seen that those elements enter in a controlled way. Also, the facade is well integrated with the context, since its load-bearing walls blends with the nature that surrounds the church, so it does not obscure it. The concrete facade is not overwhelming because of its simplicity and because the sunlight can influence on it. So, now we analyze the Church of Light in order to understand the phenomenological architecture. We can understand how this minimalist space is considered one of the most important works of the architect, based on its sensorial communication. Also, the role of the phenomenology in today's architecture has been more and more important, since this tendency gives an special significance and value to architecture because it provides a new language of senses. Even it is seen as an added element, this sensitive experience can raise the value of the building significantly. This, since emotions are something with more personal weight, which will remain in the individual mind for a longer time.